Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, dozens of refugees and aid workers are killed when a Nigerian Air Force bomber accidentally bombards a camp in the country's northeast. The military makes a rare admission of the mistake. Also, Gambia's president declares a state of emergency as he digs his heels in over the upcoming inauguration of his elected successor. Yayyah Jammeh's government's hit by 4 resignations as he continues to insist that he will not be stepping aside on Thursday. And as the world's business heavyweights meet in Davos, Switzerland for this year's World Economic Forum, France 24 hears from Winnie Byanyima, the head of Oxfam International, about how Africa can avoid the pitfalls of supercharged capitalism. But first, dozens of refugees and aid workers were killed and hundreds reportedly wounded in northeastern Nigeria after a Nigerian Air Force fighter jet targeting Boko Haram extremists bombed their camp, mistaking it for a legitimate target. In a rare admission, the Nigerian military said it accidentally ordered the strike on Ran in Borno State on Tuesday. Aid group Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, has said that its team's seen at least 52 bodies. Other reports suggest over 100 victims. MSF teams are working throughout the night in difficult conditions, trying to stabilise the hundreds they believe to have been hurt.
We are speaking about a location that was really hard to reach, where people for more than 6 months could not access basic already assistance, where population was really in a very bad situation with also extremely severe acute malnutrition on spots. And now, on top of that, now we have these mass casualties, with these massive, casualties due to a direct bombing of a highly populated area. So it's really like the worst you can imagine in terms of situation.
Well, France 24's Rosie Collier tells us more.
Each aid agency, anyway, is really at this point only talking about the numbers of their own dead. I've spoken to the Secretary General of the Red Cross here in Nigeria, and he tells me that 6 of their volunteers were killed in this bombardment. 14 more were injured, and of those, 16 are in fact in a very critical condition. Interestingly, the military also wanted to communicate the fact that they airlifted some of the critically injured to hospitals in Maiduguri, that's the capital of Borno State where this incident happened, and they're being treated in a government hospital. But ultimately, it's certainly in the tens. MSF have said they've counted at least 50 bodies, but that for now, no certain death toll, because as I say, each aid agency it prefers to really at this point talk about their own casualties.
Even as an accident, an admitted accident, it is not the first time that Nigerian civilians have been reported as having been killed by Air Force bombardments. There's never been a mistake, though, on this scale. How could something like this happen? There's no doubt the fight against Boko Haram is a difficult one, but regardless, are the Air Force and Army careful enough in their tactics?
Perhaps not. They certainly probably the most sort of infamous, shall we say, almost widely known casualties of military bombardments are, of course, the Chibok girls. These are the schoolgirls who were kidnapped almost 3 years ago and have been kept in various locations in both Nigeria, perhaps Cameroon, and also maybe even Chad. And the military has had to admit that they have killed some of these girls who are being held captive by the group in various locations. So certainly some of those have been killed. But we've heard on several occasions over the past 5 to 6 years that civilians have gotten caught up either in the crossfire of troops on the ground or by Air Force bombardments. And the Air Force has certainly stepped up its aerial campaign against this group over the past year, perhaps year and a half since President Muhammadu Buhari came into power.
Rosie Collier there for us. Now, Gambia's president declared a state of emergency and remains adamant that he will not be stepping down when his successor is inaugurated on Thursday. Yayyah Jammeh's defiance of Adama Barrow's recent electoral victory has led to a spate of government resignations and regional threats of military intervention.
Just a few hours before the end of his official mandate on Thursday, Yayyah Jammeh once again spoke to Gambians on state television.
I, Sir Professor Alhaji Dr. Yayyah Jammeh, Babili Mansa, President of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, and Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, hereby declare a state of public emergency throughout the Islamic Republic of the Gambia.
He also said foreign powers had created an unwarranted hostile atmosphere. Jammeh was clearly referring to regional bloc ECOWAS. It has said that it could intervene militarily if he refuses to leave power. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has reportedly asked for a warship to sail towards Gambia. Nigeria and the international community support Adama Barrow, who, according to the Electoral Commission, won the December election. Barrow asked his spokesman to send out this message.
I'm also aware of the massive spate of ongoing illegal arrest of military and security officers by the outgoing president. I utterly condemn this egregious act. I demand the release of all persons unlawfully arrested or detained.
Barrow is staying in Senegal until the swearing-in ceremony, which should take place on Thursday. A few hours before Jammeh announced the state of emergency, 4 of his ministers resigned. The situation is tense, and thousands of Gambians have in recent days started fleeing the country by boat to neighbouring Senegal.
As the world's business and political elite meet in Davos, Switzerland, for this year's World Economic Forum, concerns have been raised this week about widening inequality gaps. Emerging economies across Africa face a struggle to build on progress whilst also making sure that poorer communities see the benefits. France 24 has spoken to the head of Oxfam International about how the continent can realistically avoid the pitfalls of supercharged capitalism.
We need to control tax dodging. It's so sad that Africa's natural resource is just going out untaxed, and that leaders are sitting there in a cozy bed with business, letting our wealth go untaxed. African super rich have hidden their money in offshore, and we know that out of that $16 billion of tax revenue is lost to Africa every year. That's enough money to put every African child in a classroom and save 4 million lives of African children. So we need to rein in tax dodging, and that has to be done collectively. It can't be done by one country. They need to come together, also control the race to the bottom on taxation, set a minimum wage. This needs to happen in a collective way. So African leaders, we want to see them tackling these issues. But business too. The business leaders here are part of the problem. They are the tax dodgers. They are the ones who drive down wages. They are the ones who pay pitiful prices to their suppliers, to poor women who grow some of the stuff that they use in their supply chains. They do all that because it is legal. It is legal to use tax havens, but it is immoral. It's wrong. It is quite legal to give all the money to your wealthy shareholders and deny it to your workers, give them poverty wages, but it is wrong. It is immoral. So we call upon them to do what's right, what's moral, not what's legal, because what's legal has been set in a broken system to make these economies broken, and it has been set because they use their wealth to buy policies.
Winnie Byanyima there speaking to us at Davos in Switzerland, the World Economic Forum. Well, finally, a quick look at the African Cup of Nations, where Mali held 7-time AFCON champions Egypt to a 0-0 draw in Gabon. It was something of an anticlimax for the Pharaohs as they returned after a 7-year absence. Before that, Ghana kept up its hopes of reclaiming the title with a narrow 1-0 win over Uganda. Good news for the Black Stars, who haven't won the tournament since 1982 and were frustrated by a loss to Ivory Coast in the final 2 years ago. The Ugandans' coach has admitted that they suffered from a bit of stage fright in the first half. They're making their first appearance at the tournament since 1978. We'll have to wait just a little longer for their first goal, but we wish them the very best of luck. That is, though, where we're going to have to leave it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us. Do so again if you can. Take care.